Hi there, I'm Chris, and I'm here to talk to you today about maximizing online learning and how it doesn't have to be less than in person. Now, there are things that each brings to the table, and we should be thoughtful to translate in person to online learning where it makes sense and not force it where it doesn't. Along the way, we have to meet the needs of our learners along multiple axes. The synchronous classroom is as close as we're going to get to seeing our students in the near term. Well, we'd like to be back in the classroom to really get our eyes on them and sense how they're really doing through all of this. The truth is we just can't. And so the camera and the interactive classroom is as close as we're going to get to sort of see how they're doing. Keeping their eyes on the camera, keeping them looking at us and engaging is super beneficial and is great for all of us to have that sense of connection. The online classroom is also suited to helping students develop bigger soft skills that sometimes are kind of micromanaged for them at school, like time management. There's not bells and there's not teachers telling them where to go all of the time, and they have to do their asynchronous work by themselves and then come to synchronous sessions online with you. And those are huge skills that they need to develop for life, right? Along with project planning, some of those show and tell activities that we want to do with them, they have to be responsible for generating those off camera and then bringing them and loading them into some of the tools that you'll use online. Another great thing that the online classroom allows you to do for them is help them learn how to interact appropriately with their peers and set a culture, an online culture that is respectful, that helps them learn to lean in and really pick up cues from how their classmates are doing and to give really good quality feedback. And feedback that you give them is equally important. Laud them for what they do well, gently correct them with guardrails when they slip up. This is new for everybody. And while the online classroom may not be new for some of your learners, the online classroom in the face of the challenges that the world is going through now is new for everyone. And there's external stressors on everyone. So the rules that you make and the guardrails that you enforce and the feedback that you give is vital. And you're the best person to do this because they already know you. That's something that you want to look at translating, right? Those little things that make your classroom your classroom. Students that talk to you after you've instructed them years ago or whatever, and they say, hey, I remember this, or I remember something that you did every day in morning opening, or something that you did at the beginning of class, or some of those inside jokes. Pay attention to those. Those are the things that resonate with students, and those little quirky cultural things that make students remember your class as different from somebody else's. That's another thing that the online classroom is great at. It's learning to be a learner alongside your students. Now, the online classroom is kind of a flipped classroom of sorts. In a true flipped classroom, students take some of their lecture stuff online or do activities online, and then they come in person to share the synthesis and sort of the higher level learning, the hands-on stuff together. Well, in the online classroom, when it's synchronous, you can think of it as kind of a show and tell activity, where students can use all of the free educational resources that are available to us in the season and then come back and share out. And there's no reason as an educator why you can't do that too. So I'm challenging you to find something new that you want to learn as well. Learn alongside your learners, stoke their passions, help them find something that is really great at distracting them from all of the stress of the world right now, but may just set their career path in motion. For me, it was discovering that I love to see how things work, and it set my path to go to college as an engineering major and later graduate as a scientist. And I think it's really, really important that students know that informal learning in this environment is equally as important as all of the content that you will cover. And the connection that is built through an online classroom is the ideal way to share that out. Don't be afraid to be silly with your students. Don't be afraid to show them how you had to iterate a few times to learn a new skill. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Everybody is really struggling now. And so to show them that you're struggling at learning something just like they are, helps them build that connection with you when you can't see them in person. It also helps them give honest feedback both ways, right? If they're brave enough to show that it took them 4 or 5 times to learn something, and you give great feedback for keeping going and persisting with learning that skill, that's going to help them feel good about it. And if you show them that it took you 6 or 7 times to learn the same thing, so much the better. There's a world of free opportunity out there now in content. Let them learn, give great feedback, and use the online classroom as a level playing field for everybody to come and share out what they've learned. Surprise them, keep them engaged. They're so excited to see you, just as you are excited to see them. You are the best person to take this journey with your students, and your students will grow with you. We're all going to learn together. and I can't wait to hear about what you've learned together.